Minister Erdogan.
Thank you, President. I rise to speak on the petition brought to the House sponsored by Dr Heath, and I thank everyone that has taken the time to sign the petition and share their views on this issue. I know these discussions are difficult discussions to have, especially for victims of crime that have suffered so greatly, and I do want to also mention that there are supports available for the Victims of Crime Helpline for people that need support, that are here in person or anyone watching online. I know in particular, and I want to acknowledge the family of Katie Haley for their advocacy on this issue. I've heard from a number of members of Parliament, both in this chamber and the other side, that have made strong representations, Dr Heath being one of them, but also Mary-Ann Thomas, the member for Macedon, Josh Bull, the member for Sunbury, and Vicky Ward, the member for Eltham, that have also shared their perspectives and shared your perspectives with me. I know that this is a difficult issue for many victims of crime on how our justice system works, and in many regards I feel that there is nothing we do will take away people's pain in many of these matters. Emergency management days are and have been long-standing arrangements with governments of all persuasions, and in relation to COVID-19 there were additional to acknowledge the hardship and the extended restrictions in that period where emergency management days were implemented, and I became Minister for Corrections in December 2022, and shortly after I came in, a lot of those emergency management days that related to COVID-19 pandemic were removed. But they have been a part of our system for a long time, and it's been about providing an operational tool for the staff that work in our system to manage times of crisis, times of difficulty, and obviously a pandemic being one of those circumstances. They are or should be implemented with a balanced approach, and I do understand that during that pandemic period, and as the Minister I've seen, that some have been quite large grants of acknowledging the challenges of the operational environment were granted. But I don't need to remind everyone about the impacts of the global 19 pandemic. Dr Heath, you've touched on some of that, and those impacts were felt no less in prison system. Health authorities highlighted the risks of closed environments, the increased risks of the pandemic spreading, and that isn't just a risk for prisoners. I think we always think about the prisoners being the focal point, but it's also the staff, including the correction staff, the doctors, the nurses, the tradies, the other security team members that work shifts at our correctional facilities, and they're people that they come and go to the prison system. Some members of this Parliament are former corrections officers. They understand that they spend time in the facility, but they also spend time with the community members. And to mitigate the risks, prison authorities and the leadership of Corrections Victoria implement unprecedented restrictions on prisoner movement that stopped visits and held to programs to minimise face-to-face contact to stop the spread of COVID. I know that the restrictions endured by all Victorians was difficult, as someone that obviously also experienced that. It's also true inside our prisons that the restrictions and conditions were more restrictive than normal. Those restrictions were necessary to protect lives and protect the health and well-being of the hard-working staff in our corrections system. Like so many essential workers, they turned up every day in difficult circumstances. And it meant that we did avoid some of the incidents that occurred in other jurisdictions. In particular, we saw in WA and Queensland, there were instances where there were prison riots and people that created trouble as a result of those restrictions. We didn't experience that in Victoria, and this operational tool was one of the issues that assisted with that. But I do understand every decision made was made to protect the workers and the broader Victorian community. That's what's been explained to me by Corrections Victoria staff. But I can understand that criminal justice settings are difficult decisions that require the balancing of rights, and these decisions can present genuine legal and operational challenges that need to be properly considered. I've always been clear that I expect them to be the prison authorities to take a balanced approach with the use of these tools, and I've listened to the debate and thoughtful contribution made so far, and I'll continue to listen to those contributions. It's an issue that I am looking into, with the safety of the community and the views of victims at the forefront of this issue. I think it is a difficult one to balance, especially retrospectively. Thank you.